Hello, Richard Beach from SonicState.com amped, that's Sonic's guitar channel, and today I have the Korg Pandora Stomp box in front of me. This is basically what it says, really, a small box that has a lot inside of it. 200 presets from the factory, 200 user presets that you can tweak yourself, 100 different rhythm patterns that you can play along to, and most importantly, 158 effects, 7 of which you can use simultaneously. I definitely didn't just let down a piece of paper on the floor there with all those figures on. So what I want to do is take you through a few of the presets, give you an idea of what it sounds like, and then I'm going to show you the functionality itself. Before I do any of that, I'll just show you the kind of top panel and the interface. Okay, so as you can see, we've got one foot switch here. This is assignable. It doesn't always do the same thing, but at the moment it is set as a bypass switch, as you can see. On the side, you can't see it too well, but I'll just tilt. There's a little flywheel next to my thumb, which is for flicking through presets. You can also do this with the foot switch if you program it to be that way. 4 memory buttons, A, B, C, and D on the top, so you can save your favorite presets to those and quickly call them up. On the top here, we have play, utility, and rhythm. I'll show you what those do later, but they are fairly self-explanatory. The play button basically gets you into play mode or into edit mode, and the utility button lets you do things like assign the foot switch to different parameters, and the rhythm button just turns on the rhythms. And just above that here, you can see a tuner display. So in bypass mode, if I play a note, you can see it jumps into life and acts as a tuner. On the side, we have an on, standby, and USB selector switch, so you can hook this up to a computer via USB and play around with the editor software. An output there on the left-hand side, and an auxiliary in, so you can plug in an MP3 player and play along. You can also change the pitch of the auxiliary input, so if you want your favorite song to be in E rather than A, you can do that. Then round on the other side, as I said, we've got the flywheel, and we have the input, and on the back, a headphone output along with a volume knob for that output. And on the jacks, input and output, it is mono in, mono out. Okay, so let's go through some of the presets. I warn you, these are the factory presets. I'm just going to show you a few different blends of them, but not all of them sound amazing out the box. And obviously what I have done as well, because I'm going into a Vox Bruno amplifier, I've turned off the cab simulation, which is quite easy to do using the utility function. I will show you what it sounds like with the direct in later, but mainly more for my convenience at the moment. We're going through an amp which is being mic'd up with an SE Electronics Voodoo VR1 ribbon microphone, as per usual for Sonic State reviews. So here we go, just on a random preset at the moment called Paralyze. Let's go right back to the start. So we've got 400 things to toggle through using this little flywheel. And as you can hear, it makes a little sound as you do so. I'm just giving you an idea of what navigating the pedal using this little flywheel is like. Not massively convenient. As I said, you can assign the foot switch to do it as well, but then you'd be going the whole time. This is quite a hands-on pedal. I don't think it's massively designed with giggers in mind. I think it's more for people who are playing around at home. So this one's called Ziggy Star. I would hazard a guess that it is supposed to be the sound from the song Ziggy Stardust. Here we go. A lot of high mids in there, quite harsh to my ear. I don't know what it's like coming through the microphone. Let's go through some more presets. And this is quite a nice one, actually. Quite like the sound of that one. If I want to find out what is actually going on in that preset, I can go into the edit mode by holding down the play/edit button. I can see that the dynamic effect we have is called slow talk. I can see that we've got a UK 70s amp model. The cab, sorry, and then you can do gain, mid, bass, all the different things for the actual amp itself. The cab, which is being bypassed, 4x12 Celestion, chorus, delay, and then I can change the delay time, and we've got a hall reverb on there as well. And so there's lots of things I can change as well. I can change the category it's in, so I can turn it into a bass effect if I want. You can store, obviously this is for bass as well as guitar, and you can store bass effects together and guitar effects together, and I can also write it to a different, basically if I've made some changes, I can write this to anywhere I want on the pedal. So at the moment it's in bank number 21. I could put it on 22 if I wanted to. That would overwrite another effect. And that's the name, which I can also edit. So go back into play mode. Sorry, that wasn't the name. That was the name of the first effect, but you can edit the name by cycling through that thing as well. But I'm not going to go all the way through it again because it takes ages. So that's a nice one. Let's go through some more. One for fans of Top Gear, and let's go through a few more. This one is pretty crazy actually. You can get some sort of synth effects out of this, and some of them are a hell of a lot of fun. Okay, some more presets now. Try and find something a bit higher gain for the children of Satan out there. Right. So, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a hell of a lot of noise coming out of that. So, obviously when you bypass it, the noise stops, but then you have to turn the pedal back on again to be able to get back through presets. And put up with noise like that, there seems to be a big peak in the high mid-range somewhere on here that just pushes out white noise. Not to worry, it is, like I was saying, I think it's more for songwriting, bedroom use, things like that. It doesn't seem like it will be the perfect thing to take to a gig unless you sort of take out some of that EQ yourself. Let's go through, basically I'll show you the memory banks as well. So at the moment I've got the Ziggy Stardust thing in A. So if I instead wanted to have a preset that was different to that, ouch, then all I have to do is hold down that memory bank when I get to the preset that I want to save onto there. And then on B, I have different things saved. So before we go any further, I'm just going to put it on the record that some of the sounds, especially the distortion sounds, probably aren't the highest quality effects that you're going to get, but there are a lot of redeeming features on the pedal. It's just sort of got a quirkiness and a wackiness to it that I quite like, and especially some of the synth effects I think are quite useful, quite fun to play around with, and especially because it's a Korg product, you've got to play with some of those. So if I scroll up through and get further up the effects. Okay, so I'm heading for 199 now, and it's a good job I'm not playing gig because the crowd will be waiting. So in utility you have aux pitch, the auxiliary pitch. So my MP3 player, if like I said, if you wanted to jam along to something but it was in a pitch that you didn't want to be playing, and you can change the pitch with the flywheel there. The output, when it comes out the box, it's a 10, which is incredibly hot for what is already a hot pedal. So I have that down on 8.7 at the moment. Foot switch, you can basically, when you get it out of the box, it will be on the alt setting, which basically means that you're going between bypass and on. You can also have it going through these 4 memory banks, or probably the most useful way at a gig is the 0 to 9 function. So I'll show you how that can be useful, just show you the rest of the settings. So cab through, which is on at the moment because I'm going through an amp, so I don't want any cab simulation. And the backlight is on economic, and the power save is on because I want to save the world. So right now I'm on preset 160, and my foot switch is now set to go from 0 to 9. So basically it will go up through 10 presets and then scroll back to the original one I was on. And then you can just use the flywheel to go up to 170, which will be the start of your presets for your next song, and do the same thing. That is the only real way I can think that this interface and this format is sort of useful for somebody who's gigging. Okay, and now I'll show you the rhythms as well, which are exactly how you'd expect them to sound. Here we go, get ready. So I can change the beat with the flywheel. And I can change a number of other parameters as well. So there you go, a lot of rhythms to play around with, and you know, they're not gonna make people think that you actually have a real drummer with you, but no pedal that I've ever heard that has rhythm presets will do that. So it's just a bit of fun, and you know, another edge to the pedal, which does, in all fairness, pack a hell of a lot into a tiny little box. I don't think I've done enough of basically going through amp presets, so let me just find something that isn't really offensive. That'll do. This is obviously supposed to be the sound from Led Zeppelin's Black Dog. So if I go into edit, so in terms of amps, you can see when I scroll through there's loads of different options. So I can have what will probably be something like a Roland Jazz Chorus, and then I can change the parameters on it, but also quite a few different effects you can get as well. Loads of different reverbs. So yeah, it has something about it. It has a certain character to it, considering it's just a black die-cast metal box. And while I think, you know, for that price I would buy it and I would probably have a lot of fun with it, I almost definitely wouldn't gig with it, because I just don't, you know, it worries me that if I hit the foot switch twice by mistake instead of once or something, which can happen when you're you know, trying to concentrate on playing in low light at a gig when you're sweaty and knackered and coming towards the end of a set, then there would be no way for me to get back to the preset that I wanted to be on. So let's just go back into play mode and go through some random sounds. So I was trying to get to Vox Trem there and it took me ages as that annoying flywheel. Okay, right, so obviously there it does a lot of weird stuff, as you can hear. Does it do anything normal? Let's find out. I'm just gonna go back to the earlier presets. It kind of does. So if I take the Johnny B. Good and edit it, so you can see I've been playing around with this for over a week now, and I still go to use the flywheel every time I'm trying to edit the amp that I'm using. So if I use, say, something like a UK 70s and then get the gain up a bit. Cab's being bypassed anyway. Effects are off on the modulation and the delay. I'm gonna bit less reverb on there. Okay, so same again, but now direct in and the cabinet is on. So the cabinet bypass is off, which means the cabinet is on. So here we go. So I think it does bypass that. I think it does sound better direct in with the cab simulator on, and it probably, you know, going through an amplifier, all of the EQ and all the stuff that's basically all the DSP on this is getting garbled by the amplifier slightly. But unless you have a whole rig that is digital and can go into a PA system, you're going to obviously have to put up with that live. Probably the only thing left to mention is that it does come with editor software, like I said before, so you can hook it up to computer and do all these patches, manage all these patches on the actual computer. It doesn't act as an interface though, so you can't just plug this into a computer and record directly the sound digitally. You have to hook it up via the output to an interface. So really, I think for the price, it's obviously the competitors are going to be the Line 6 Pod, the bean-shaped one, rather than the HD one. And I guess you're going to have to decide for yourself whether you want a compact version or an actual, you know, interface that you can use quite easily because of the size of it, but that takes up more space on your board. I think in terms of the trade-off of the sounds between the two, I do like the lower gain sounds that this does. I think when it gets into high gain territory, like a lot of lower end digital equipment, it can get very fizzy in the high mid range. but you can actually edit that quite well when you go into the EQ bank. So, thank you very much for watching the review that I've just done of the Korg Pandora, and hopefully I'll see you around next time on sonicstate.com/amped. That's our guitar channel. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and do all the usual blah-de-blah-de-blah, like go and like us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/sonicamped, and Twitter, which is twitter.com/sonicamped. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.